as they say, a slow, steady pace really wins the race at the end of the day. My name is SIMBA, Elijah Charles Kiage. This is Look Up TV, but most certainly, The Morning Drift. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning. We have just a lot that we're going to talk about this morning. But most importantly, let's begin then with a snapshot of what your dailies are looking like this morning. And I would like to start with the Standard this morning. We've got a very bold headline. It's talking about how the DCI, that is the Criminal Investigation Director, has gone rogue, and they're talking about how from arresting critical of the Ruto's administration over their remarks to so accusing rights activists of terrorism, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, has veered from the laughable to the outright absurd, that's what they're calling it, tasked with bringing science and professionalism to law enforcement. The agency now resembles a political hit squad that is doing the bidding of the powerful by enforcing vendettas, silencing critics, and trampling on fundamental freedoms with impunity. DCI boss Mohammed Amin appears hell-bent on dragging Kenya into the ranks of the prior states so long as it keeps ruling as the elite are satisfied. You're going to read that story on pages 4 and 5 this morning. This headline actually coming on the heels of Boniface Mwangi, who's an activist in the country who's now supposed to appear in court this morning, faced with terrorism charges, and also this coming on the back of a lot of accusations in the country of kidnappings of Kenyans, something that has been trending since Kenyans went to the streets with the Mandamano hashtag. Let's cross over this morning to the Daily Nation so that we see exactly what it is they're talking about. Away from what the Standard is, they have a picture here of Raila, who's saying, I am with Ruto until 2027. It's an exclusive that they covered here, where the ODM movement leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, has for the first time ruled out an early political exit from the broad-based government with the Kenya Kwanza administration, declaring that he is firmly aligned with President William Ruto, at least until 2027, a general election. Now, in a wide-ranging interview, the former Prime Minister proposed doing away with the voters' register and allowing Kenyans to cast their ballots using only their identity cards. He also criticized impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as, now wait for it, divisive. You're going to read that story on page 4 and 5 this morning. Also, top of what the Daily Nation has covered this morning is activist Boniface Mwangi, who's going to face terrorism charges. He'll be arraigned today after 2 days in cells. That particular story also covered on page 2 of the Daily Nation. Also, the KDF locks meal allowance in new system. Now, this was a trending story back when indeed it was rumored or alleged that KDF had lost their meal allowances in their payment system. It looks as if now they've got it back. That is according to this particular headline here on the Daily Nation, and that story has also been covered on page 2. 2000 was the year the allowance was introduced following the abolition of breakfast and the dinner provisions. So good news on that particular story right there. So let me then introduce that particular conversation this morning, and it's a good thing then for us to look into the dailies this morning with the guests that we have in the studio. On the other side of the studio, I want to introduce Honorable Joyce Wamahio, HC Economic and Political Analyst. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Elijah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, Elijah. More than 1 year, more than 1 year plus.
It's been a year.
Mm-hmm. Happy to see you back.
Happy to see you.
Happy to see the Look Up TV family.
That's it.
A lot of greetings from my own village, Jabine village. When you're saying it's 7 at Rimuru, you look now what is showing out at weather. It is 6 at Jabini.
Freezing.
It's not only freezing.
Freezing.
It's very, very cold.
It's very cold.
A lot of greetings again from my own village, Jabini village, in Kidangop in Yadaro County. They've been wondering, where did Rock Up TV go?
We're right here.
And then somebody is texting me and telling me, are they on social media handles?
Yes,
so I'm sure you're going to mention that you're on social media handle,
yes,
so that they can follow you. Special greetings again from Muguga. A good pastor friend of mine is writing here online. Pastor Daniel Kiraye from New Life International. Pass my regards to Elijah. So I'm sure you're going to recognize the greetings from Pastor Daniel.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
All right,
I'm happy to be here.
It's a good thing before I introduce them, the next guest that we have in the studios who's going to take us all the way to 9:30 this morning. Let me just indicate that we are online and Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Talk to us. In fact, we are streaming a couple of them. I'll just be waiting my director to tell me which platforms we are live at, so we can actually get to also send those shoutouts to you. Now, at 6, you're borderline on negative temperatures this morning. Please, if you are from Joyce's village, please make sure you have hot uji. In fact, it works better than tea, please, if you can. Yeah, because we don't want any disease associated with these colds right here. And I've seen a couple of guys walking around the CBD this morning without sweaters. Please make sure you are warm as well. Pastor Daniel, we do appreciate you being a fan of Look Up TV. We shall be with you. We are back at it again. So thank you very much for being that honest, true fan. All right. Also next this morning, we do have Stephen Juma, who's a political analyst and educationist. Mr. Juma, how are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Happy to have you around.
Thank you. I just want to take this opportunity to greet our viewers wherever they are, just to welcome them to this conversation. We need a country that respects the rule of law. We need a country that thrives in economy. We need a country that have better health system. We need a country that have better education system for our children. We need a country that we have security. We need a country that has sustainability.
Yes.
We need a country that have equal distribution of resources in all the regions in Kenya. So I want to welcome them, that this is our country. It's our time. It's our space for us to talk about issues that affect us as a country together as one family, as a nation.
Fantastic. Happy to have you around.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start you off this morning. Even before we delve into our topic this morning, I want to take your views on the dailies this morning. The Standard is quite up there with the headline this morning. They're talking about that the DCI has gone rogue. Let me just remind you what they said. From arresting politicians critical of the Ruto administration over their remarks to accusing rights activists of terrorism. They're saying that the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, DCI, has veered from the laughable to the outright absurd. They continue to state, tasked with bringing science and professionalism to law enforcement, the agency now resembles a political hit squad. Let me leave it there. Joyce, your sentiments on that?
I'm equally worried from where the Standard newspaper is reading and where it's getting its facts that the DCI has turned out to be somebody else. Our constitution clearly defines the role of the DCI. But even before we go to the role of the DCI, the definition of the word terrorism. You know, when you mention the word terrorism in Kenya, people get shivers down their spine, because we've seen the extent of terrorism acts in this country. We're only very fresh to what happened last week at Ramu, where 3 officers were killed with their vehicles stepped on an IED. Now, that is what the DCI is taking us to the direction of, that the persons we have in our houses, the persons who are our friends, the persons who are our brothers, have turned out to be terrorists. By the clear definition of saying, Article 43, the right of good economic practices. So when the DCI gets person like Boniface Mwangi in the streets, and Boniface Mwangi is only talking about the good practices of what is enshrined in our articles, And then the DCI turns around and says that when you go and state the definition of this constitution, you are a terrorist. Let me tell you, Elijah, it defines, it negates the English meaning of the word terrorism. What is terrorism? These are actors of heinous acts that they are just out to kill. Is this, when you hold this constitution, are you a killer? Are you a murderer? You are not. So when the DCI resorts to misinterpretation of this constitution and says the activists that we have on the streets are no longer political activists that want to discuss how this country is ran, that the DCI now turns around, the coins around and says that you who are going on the streets, the DCI, the Gensis who went on the street on the day of SIMBA, you are not going to discuss about the effects of SIMBA in this country. The Gensis who went out last year on July 25th to discuss about the Finance Bill 2024, you are not activists, you are criminals. Because this narrative, Elijah, did not start with the DCI today or this week. This narrative of terrorism started with the head of state, who is none other than the head of state, President Ruto. Last year, 2025, I mean last year in June 2025, when the agencies discussed the issues of pertaining to the Finance Bill 2025. I remember, Elijah, we started this discussion on this bench some time back last year. And we discussed the Finance Bill of 2024, and we realized it had gaps and gaps that it needed to be dealt with. When we went back for public participation back to our villages, we talked to our MPs, and they told us, you are going to take it whether you have it or not. We have a very vibrant and very energetic young men and women called the Gen Zs, who discussed and articulated the Finance Bill 2024 and told us the foreign clauses are wrong, the foreign clauses are right. Elijah, if I come today and tell you that this clause is wrong, what authority do you have to brand me as a terrorist? If I tell you that the SHA is not working, am I a terrorist? If I tell you that Article 49, the Bill of Rights, the right of an arrested person is not right. Yes. When Boniface Mwangi and another activist from Uganda, together with Mother Karua, together with Emeritus Chief Justice, went to Tanzania to hear, to listen to a matter that was coming up. They were detained at the airport. They were brutally harassed. They were brutally beaten up. Are we trying to say that exercising that right is the clear definition of terrorism? I think this morning we need to come out clearly and address the DCI. Your work is not to redefine the rule. Your work is to enact the rule. If, in essence, that all these persons that have been held up, remember 2 weeks back we had that young lady from Limuru was caught, or the gentleman from Limuru was caught all the way from Limuru and taken up to Ruiru. This is harassment and intimidation. It is not an issue of terrorism. This law tells us that Elijah, you are innocent until proved guilty. We have seen the DCI 2 years back going all the way to Mike Buvisonko and saying that Mike Buvisonko was a terrorist. 2 weeks thereafter, they dropped the charges. Are these charges that the DCI bringing here on board, are they sustainable? To me, this early morning, I want to candidly say that these charges will not hold water. The DCI have been turned by the executive into an arm of harassment, into an arm of going for any person who has a dissenting voice against this government, and that is what the DCI today is doing this morning, Elijah.
Yes. Mr. Juma, I just want to point you out to what the Standard is painting that picture like this morning. But if you look at where the DCI is coming from, you look at the arrests that have been made over time, if you look at the protests that have gone over probably in the past couple of days in this country or couple of months in this country, it looks justified, because if you look at the reports that we're getting back, is that these are the guys who are outrightly destroying people's property. and also infiltrating what were constitutional demonstrations in the country. In fact, they came back and said that all those people that you've seen as arrest and also shoot on the road, they are goons who actually went into these demos. Then we are greeted by the biggest one. Boniface Mwangi now has been charged with terrorism charges, and we're waiting for the charges to be read in court today after he spent 2 days in the cells. Does this headline go too far, or it sticks within what majority of Kenyans are observing?
It's unfortunate. I do agree with the standard for publishing that story. The DCI is a rogue person, it's a criminal. In my statement, I remember how he has handled Kenyans ruthlessly, especially youths who has gone to the street to demonstrate for their right within the constitutions, fighting for better country, fighting for financial bill issues, fighting for freedoms. He's really handling with a lot of ruthless, rogue. Look at how Juang was mishandled, and when he went to give a statement before the Senate, before the members of Parliament, he said that he was justified that Ojwang hit himself on the wall of the cell. Kind of a person who is supposed to handle Kenya with professionality, respect the rule of law, respect the constitution. Indeed, Amin has gone rogue, and I do agree with that standard. Number two, there's nothing like the people that are now being arrested, taken to court and all that, because this protest was clearly within the constitution. The government infiltrated this protest by bringing goons and destroying the property, because if Amin is one of the people who sit in National Intelligence Committee, I do believe, as an DCI, if these protests were being planned as they portrayed by the opposition, they ought to know early so that they can be able to provide security for the protesters and all that. It's indeed is the government who plan the hooliganism, the destruction of property, to portray the demonstration and the protesters in a bad image before Kenyans. People are just demonstrating within their constitution, try to look for a better Kenya and all that. But there's something that beyond meeting the eye in this story. We've been discussing the last 2 weeks, and those rumors, and you know, most of things in Kenya start with rumors. When the president realized that he have lost the ground to that extent that he cannot win the next general election, there's possibility of declaring this country the state of emergency in this country. And one of them, the factor that you bring in, is the terrorism. When you talk of terrorism, you can't hold election because there's no peace in the country, there's destruction in the country. So even you make sure that it's a threat to the investors, it's a threat to other peace in the country, and then now you declare the state of emergency. Then you cannot we cannot have election in this country. So there's something that made the eye in this matter of terrorism, because indeed Bosman Mwangi is just somebody, we know where he lives, we knows where his office is. When did he start becoming a terrorist in this country? These young people who cannot even buy a matchbox and they live $1, below $1 a day, where do you even get money to be a terrorist? Huh? Yes. So we're using terms that portrayed Kenya globally, bad image to the nation and again to international. Yes. And there's something that is being hidden in these issues of terrorism, because what I portrayed, when I think as William Ruto keep on losing the ground, and when the reality catch up with them, that they will not be able to, because you are being re-elected on the promises that you make to Kenyans. You are not being re-elected because of a threat, intimidation, disobedient to the rule of law. You are you are being re-elected to the next in the office because you promise Kenyans, you give some promises and you fulfill those promises. As things stand now, yes, those promises are not being fulfilled, and Kenyans actually have lost hope in him, in his leadership and administration. So it's bringing tactics to see if he can survive, and one of them is creating anarchy in Kenya.
We're going to talk about that just briefly, just to get back at you as well on that before we look at the headline on the Daily Nation. That's part of that is going to be our bigger conversation. I mean, we're waiting for that charge sheet for Boniface Mwangi to be read in court today. If indeed we see it and say indeed it stands water, would the DCI be vilified in this one?
But let me tell you, this year I have let Kenyan several times in court. He has so many people that have been aligned with the terrorists, and when they go, those charges are being thrown out by the court. So it's not the first time. And when you look at it, I think it's a plan, but it's one of the person who want to fulfill this plan under Ruto administration. I'm telling you, there's something bigger that we need to look at in a bigger picture. If William Ruto feel that he might not make it in 2027, and they might end up going to the next election or administration with William Ruto without election, he will declare the country as a state of emergency, and we cannot do election. And again, if we start behaving like this, he will even say, okay, let's go to the election, but we have a terrorist in the country. Then you go to every polling station, you find a military there. You vote, and the military is behind you. You will declare as a winner, and with the military and the police, and Kenya become a military state because of the word terrorist. So I'm telling you, there's something beyond what we think in this word. It's not just arresting Boniface Mwangi and taking it to court. It's beyond that, because we're moving toward 2027.
Just quickly on the arrest that we've seen during the demonstrations. I mean, we can't close your eyes to the fact that there's some Kenyans who cried that their properties have been destroyed, and we've seen it. As journalists,
we had agreed. We had agreed
on that basis as well. If somebody is arrested from there, and then criminal charges are moved against them, is it not justified?
We have agreed, Elijah, that property were destroyed. The life, many people lost life. Okay, we are in agreement. Okay, but we are not in agreement that the government have got national intelligence. That's what we are saying. The government planned this destruction of property. I can tell you, because if you look at these stories, government has got national intelligence, where DCI sit in that board and of the national intelligence, where they could be able to give information. Apart from the protest of Sabasaba that we have in this particular day, there's people on goons or somewhere that have been very planned, financed to do this, but the government failed to do that. Look at how the police stations were being banned in Kikuyu. That's just a story. Those are just a drama. I'm telling you, even the people that are being arrested, these young people that are being arrested of terrorists, those are people who live below $1 a day. They cannot even be able to fund. We are using a very magnitude word. The sentiment terrorist is a big word when we're using in our country. So I'm telling you, these are just a sideshow. The government know what they're doing. They are aiming for something bigger beyond what we think. And that's how anarchy starts in the country.
We're going to come back to that, because that also touches on a bigger conversation. Guys, let's cross over to the Daily Nation. I was specifically told to ask you this question this morning. The headline reads quite boldly, Raila, I am with Ruto until 2027. But then the question comes on the back end of what Raila Amolo Odinga did indicate, that for him, let's do away with the voter register and allow Kenyans to vote with just their national identity cards. This also coming on the backdrop of the new registration drive in the northern part of the country, where it's been alleged that there are a silent 3.7 million votes. So it comes on the, but you got to touch on it like that. So take 2 minutes, because we only have 5 minutes. We only have 4 minutes on this before we take that break and tackle our bigger conversation this morning. Are you still a fan of Raila Amolo Odinga?
I was a diehard supporter of Baba in 2022, all the way to up to 2024.
Yes.
Then my heart has been painful when I hear of that word Raila. Why? Raila has been converted now as the new convertee in the anarchy world. My brother Steve has said clearly, these are diversionary strategies that the government is using. Only last week, Baba himself said he need the intergenerational discussion. That he is going to pick in the month of August, which we only 1 week to go, that he is going to pick from the 47 counties, young men from specific villages to come in and discuss. Baba is an agent of this government. This is the government of William Ruto. And since William Ruto has lost ground, he has now resorted to what we call the divide and rule. When you go to the mountain, he'll bring in the fight between Gachagua and Kidiki and Moses Kuria. On this other front, he brings in the issue of Baba. He wanted to increase the price of fuel. So what did he do last week? He asked Baba, go and tell the Kenyans that we need to have the international, interreligious and intergenerational discussion. So all of us were focused. What's the hell with Baba? Baba, what are you telling us? Your grandchildren and your grandbabies told you, Baba, stay aside. Let us continue this war for you. Baba decided, I'm not going to listen to the voices of the young men, the young women. I'm going to be in the midst. What happened to Elijah? Baba had his face with eggs because he was literally embarrassed. And that's why the agitation, this bitterness, has now turned from Ruto to Baba. So when Baba now decides to discuss about the ID,
yes.
Only last week on Thursday that the IBC opened its register. So today you can tell whether where you're voting and where you are registered. So Baba is being again sent by William Ruto. Go and test the waters. Let us hear how other Kenyans will feel. To Baba, who is my friend, who was my friend before 2024. This time around again, this week, you are wrong. Kenyans need to wake up and tell Baba and President Ruto, kindly come back to the ground. President Ruto, you are sworn in as the president of this country and not Raila Amolo Odinga. In the year 2022, he saw himself at Uhuru Park with Dr. Miguna, who was the Chief Justice by the end of the swearing-in committee. Baba, you are becoming irrelevant each and every single day. In my language where I come from, they say that I used to dance, now I can now stop dancing because I can see I'm losing the step. He who used to see far now can only see at 1 foot away. Baba, your strategies are not working. Allow the institutions to work. Yes. It is only in his say that we had another women rep from Isiolo or Wajir yes. County, who said that even if the votes are not enough, this is where again we have the pathway from where the President Ruto went and opened up the boundary.
Yes.
For the persons from the eastern region, the northeastern region, to come into the country and told them that we are not going to vet you. SIMBA, I need to know where you come from. Even for my data, yeah. SIMBA, before you tell me before you a minute, yeah. Even for my data, I need to know who is SIMBA. If there's no vetting of who a SIMBA is, then that is where we are bring the narrative of terrorism. And the DCI, Baba and President Ruto are together in this word of terrorism. You have opened up the boundary to bring in the persons who are not vetted. So even if they came in and brought in terrorists and terrorism, you will say it was within the activism. That is all for Baba I have today.
That's it. Juma, you'll allow us to take just a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll be starting with you because we'll be jumping into a big conversation this morning on that. I'll pick those sentiments on that once we open back because I'm getting fought. Somebody's fighting me. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll pick those sentiments and then jump into our big conversation this morning. Still with Honorable Joyce and Juma in the studio this morning, looking at what the country is gearing up politically, because indeed we can't avoid it as well. We can see the mood already. Guys are moving across the country, drumming up support for their sides in 2027. Once we come back, one man has already spoken, Kalonzo Musyoka. He said, I am in the ballot in a 2027, and those rumors about me joining this broad-based government, check me out once we come back right here at Look Up TV.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati
tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Welcome back. You are watching Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We are online at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Now, I'll pick the sentiments of Juma just before we went on break. I wanted him to give us a perspective on what Raila Amolo Odinga is saying. But also this then is the point where we introduce our main conversation this morning, and I'll introduce it just like this, because a lot has happened over this weekend over this particular topic. Now, last week, this is what we knew was happening around the Kalonzo camp. Now, listen, and I'll be telling you who said this. It is Wandanyi. He came in and said that indeed those opposed to the talks are enemies of the country and saboteurs with ill intentions, so that the talks that were supposed to get one Kalonzo Musyoka into the broad-based government. All right? He goes on to say that indeed, having worked with Dr. Musyoka in NATCO, that's another thing that majority of Kenyans have forgotten. If you do know, there's a NATCO report that is seated without implementation. I'm more than persuaded that his contribution to the government would be crucial. He also said, I'm confident that going forward, Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka will join the Right Honorable Prime Minister Engineer Raila Amolo Odinga and President William Ruto in steering the country forward. That is what he said. This is according to the Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary of P.O. Wandanyi. It's quite influential, really, when you look at ODM. Good. I want you to pick your sentiments on what Raila Amolo Odinga said, then swiftly jump into this Kalonzo Musyoka conversation, Juma.
Kalonzo is Raila is not now is an agent of the state. He works on behalf of the state to destroy our cause and maybe to make sure that the revolution goes slow, actually.
Yes, but you can't then sideline his influence.
Because look, when Jay-Z was out to fight for better governance,
yes.
and 2025, Raila jumped into the government. Right now, we are fighting for better governance. Again, Raila come with the conclave generation dialogue. This is to buy time, and you see after that dialogue, we'll take another 3 months. They did it on NADCO. We took another 3 months without the results. Yes. He knows we take another 3 months or maybe 4 months or so. Then we come with the referendum, come the end of the year. Yes. Then after that, that report is put somewhere, absorbing dust somewhere, and then he come and say, now we prepare for referendum. Then again, if they come and change, IBC in place, we're almost going to election. Nothing will happen and all that. So I think Raila is an agent of the state, and it's confusing the progress and all that. Is an element of confusion.
Could you speak about his influence in his voters' bloc, Juma? That's what I want you to speak to this morning. I'm back to ask you, for how long have you supported Raila Odinga?
Right now, Raila does not have that voting power. Let me tell you, in Nyanza, where I come from, we voted Raila 1.2 million. Yes. Let me give you a scenario. If Raila is not in the ballot and it will depend on him, how many votes will he get in Nyanza? The only people, if I'm coming from Game constituency and I live in Nairobi, I can't travel to go and vote for Ruto, actually, with this economy. Is it not been on historically that your community especially, in fact, in the areas where Raila Odinga has been, to say which direction to go, and despite the number of votes too late, because in 2027 we decided to clear the state of emergency by using these terrorism settlements and all that, so that we don't go to the election. Yes, Juma, using Raila as a puppet. But Juma, on that one as well. Yes. Somebody's going to say you can't force Raila Odinga to take your stand. We can't force him. We can't force him. But what then? But we have to accept. What then, Juma? But we have to accept Raila Odinga is the agent of the state right now, based on what's happening, what his statement and what he's saying. And he's working for the state. And you've already said that 100%. I mean, your view and your opinion is widely shared by majority of the fans of Raila Odinga. So that may be what it is right now. So what? Because the rest of the country appears to be taking a certain direction. But majority of the people historically stood with Raila Odinga are stuck. I don't think that Raila still controls that big chunk on what's stuck with him, and I think the people have different views. You remember yesterday we have the Sifuna, we have Amisi, we have got the other MP from Majimbo, Kalasinga in Western. They had a rally, and Amisi from Saboti. You see, those are the Raila's MPs, and they differ with it. They were not in the broad base when they were campaigning in Western. But they always speak. I mean, you can pick what they're saying. They always speak like you, Juma. Like they're not coming outwardly saying that we are standing against one Raila Amolo Odinga. Like they've not formed a block
that is against one.
They don't need to say that. Once Raila says he's working on Ruto on 2027,
Yes.
when they go to the ground and say contrary,
why can't you say, Juma?
they don't need to say we don't want Raila Odinga. What they are saying, and what Kenyans are saying, Ruto regime is a disaster to the country.
That's it.
And Raila Odinga is saying, I want to work with Ruto. Contradiction.
Is it becoming possible for your community to get the next kingpin can come in and replace Raila Amolo Odinga, to the point that it's 2 years to the election and still nothing is going on?
In Luo Nyanza, we don't sit on a mountain or a river to endorse a kingpin. We just, like now, for example, Babu Wino is coming out. It's very strongly. Whoever come out and feel the support, like now, right now, Babu Wino is gaining the support of the young people in the Luo Nyanza. You see even what happened in Homa Bay when he went for the burial of Ojwang. People insisted that he must speak before anyone else, and Raila was told not to attend that meeting. We are not burying our Wazee here. You see at that particular time in place. So we not sit on somewhere along the riverbank or along the maybe in a stadium to endorse a leader. A leader come out strongly to lead the people. So with time, we are just waiting for the right time to come, and then we'll be able to make a decision. You see the voices, dissenting voices in Luo Nyanza. Orengo is coming out, Nyong'o is coming out. People are not just sitting because Raila to give us a direction. People are tired because of the regime that Raila is supporting.
Yes, just 1 minute before, because I want to also start going in on the big conversation this morning. Juma, I hear you speak, and I'm saying, I can hear you. And what you're saying is what we also hear from the rest of the people who find themselves now in ODM, is that they're almost sure that Raila Amolo Odinga is going to walk out of this government, but he's not. Juma, why are you waiting for Raila to walk out? Why can't you make up your mind today and say that this, out of the factions that are forming up right now, and there are many, I mean, Kalonzo Musyoka is standing up and saying, I'm running in 2027. Maraga has already said, I'm running in 2027. Matiang'i said, I'm running in 2027. There's so many of them who say they're running. Why can't you say that we as a community now, because of Raila Amolo Odinga, we endorse so-and-so?
We are not forcing Raila to move out on Ruto. He can still as well stick with Ruto. 3 weeks ago, you had Standard Media Group say that Raila is losing the ground in Luo Nyanza. You read that clearly, okay?
Yes.
The pressure that we have is what we're going to make Raila not to stick with Ruto 2027. Raila is, yesterday if you look at the interview, the first question, Raila is on torn in between. He's in a dilemma whether to support Ruto or to walk out. So that pressure is mounting on him to walk out of Ruto's government. He's going to put all his legacy into a trash. So that's the pressure we're putting. We're telling Raila, fine, where you are heading is a bad egg in your eye. We are not going there. It's this person have let the country down. He gave us 214 promises. He has only fulfilled 14. That is 0.0%.
Yes, but I hear you, Juma. Please take 45 seconds because I want to cross over to Joyce now. So why can't you say that you're doing what we are not supporting? So for us, currently as it is, we support so-and-so. Why can't you move away as a bloc?
You have to know, Raila might be moving to, okay, some people say that Luo Nyanzas are in the government. I do disagree with that issue. Because how many ministers do we have? And what Wandai is doing for us? I don't see what Badi is doing for us. Perhaps those are people, he's not even in favor. Wandai had a job even before he's been appointed in the ministry. He had a job, he was a member of parliament. John Badi had a job before he was a nominated MP. So if Ruto could have given 20 people, maybe head of parastatal and all that, we can say that we have a government. But above all, that is not even important. What is important? If our people in Nyanza can go to the hospital today, their SHA is working. Our student can go and get help, is working. Because right now, when the almost 50,000 students did not apply to join the university. Ask me why. For the first time in history. For the first time in history. Since Ruto became the president, how many young people have lost? Ruto said that Rivayala will be a gone story when he get opportunity to lead this country. Almost 500 people have disappeared. We don't want to administration that has a blood in their hand to lead the nation unless something miracle happen. Kenyans are tired with this regime, and that's a fact, and that's why we are saying we'll put pressure on Raila. Remember the other time Wakene Manyara went to him and tell him, you fought for this country. Please resign, walk out of broad-based government so that we chart a better pace.
And that's what that's what you're not saying. There are no leaders in ODM who are actually coming out rightly and saying, look here, Raila Amolo Odinga, we need you to walk out. And Juma is using a lot of words, but he's also avoiding to say it. He's saying, well, you do whatever it is you want to do, but for us, we're not with you on this one. Here's the thing. Kalonzo Musyoka has come out, and let me take you back to when they started. It was on Friday, actually early on Wednesday, when Mwananyi was a big member within the ODM side, came in and said, well, look here, we are talking, and anybody who's saying that those conversations are not going on is lying. There's also a progress of enemy within the peace and the development that we're trying to build as a broad-based government within this country. We are so sure that Kalonzo Musyoka is going to join one, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Well, on Friday, Kalonzo Musyoka came out, and his words were very strong. And let me just read this word so that we see exactly where his heart is. I mean, we got to read where his heart is. We do not know what his actions are going to be. For us, it's just to read ahead and see where his heart is. He comes in and says, and I'm reading, here it is. We don't want dialogue with Ruto. Then he says, dialogue ya nini? We want justice as enshrined in the Constitution, all right? He also pushed back against the intergenerational dialogue called by Raila Odinga, arguing that the demands of young Kenyans go beyond dialogue sanctions. And this is what he said: the young people want jobs, university education under proper funding, and their rights respected. We just want no dialogue. Goes on to say, tutamtoa legitimately. And I said, 2027 I'm running. Juma.
But Oliver, you are forgetting one second.
Can she respond, please?
Yes,
I'm going to give you that time.
Yeah, you are forgetting.
Please hold that point.
Okay.
Hold that point for balanced conversation. Kalonzo is in it. Why is Mwananyi coming up with this demands?
My spirit tells me something else, Elijah.
Yes.
About what Kalonzo said on Friday, vis-a-vis his past.
Yes.
On this room, I've said severally, and I still want to echo what I said some time back, that Raila will fall, he will lose the AUC seat, and he lost it. My brother here is, coming before I go to Kalonzo, my brother here is very candid about it. And he is saying that we as the community, we are waiting for the direction. Already, Juma, in the house that you are seated, it's already burning. You can see it's burning. When we had some time back when some stations were burnt down, police stations were burnt down, one senior government officer, this is the CS Interior, said, members from the mountain were varied from Muranga and Kiabu to go and burn the police stations. Allow me to stop there. Then came the death of Marim Albert Ojwang. The young men and women from Homa Bay, not from the mountain.
Yes.
When the body of the late Marim landed in his village, what did they do that? The Mawego police post? How many kilometers from the mountain to Homa Bay?
Almost 400.
So the crowd is revolting. So even when Juma sits here and tells us that they are waiting for Baba to think about 2027, Juma, you are living in a dreamland. Wake up today and say, the young men and women from Mawego village in Homa Bay, and apparently Elijah, Homa Bay have been in the receipt of bad governance. It is in Homa Bay actually that you find a lot of either young men and women have been killed in the streets or otherwise, and there's a lot of brutality. We've seen the governor crying in public. We also at one time saw when the governor read a riot act against this government, the husband, through a gazette notice, was deregistered and sacked from a parastatal he was heading. The crowd in Nyanza is volatile. The crowd in Nyanza, where my friend Juma is saying that they are waiting for Baba. Perhaps Juma needs to go back to next week to his village so that he can get in tandem with what the crowd is saying. And his crowd is saying no. I want to come back to my friend, His Excellency, Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
He says that he's not willing to discuss about the broad-based government. But we have seen the last 2 months, none other than His Excellency, the Deputy President of this country, Kidura Kidiki, He been in his background 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times. And even when he is there, he's publicly saying that my friend is Elijah SIMBA from Lookup TV. These are friends who discuss others in public. And when Kalonzo sits on the other side and says, achana na huyo. So his commitment towards negating the words that have been said by the Deputy President are wanting.
Yes.
Allow me to say this. When Rigathi Gachagua and the President are fighting, you can tell from the body and the soul that these two are not friends, they are enemies. You can tell the fire from the man from Madeira, from the man from Sugoi, how they discuss. But when the man from Sekuru is discussing, the body language does not talk about the discord between him and the state. I want to echo what my friends have been saying in the social media. Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, the last 2 weeks we've seen you going to discuss and address issues that have been discussed at Roiro courts about the terrorism charges that are being framed up against the citizens. But you are selectively only addressing the members of parliament. Kalonzo, we did not see you discussing about Wajiko and Kawajiro who are held at Roiro. You only went to represent a member of parliament. Leadership is all about consistency. You must be consistent. Elijah, I've seen you consistently in Lookup TV. So I know Elijah and Lookup TV are one and the same thing. Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, we need to see consistency in you. Let the body discuss about what the statements are being said. If Opio Wadai says we are expecting you, and you rabbit rightly, that is not what Kenyans are looking for.
Yes.
Kenyans want somebody who can breathe fire. Allow me to address one son of the Kisi, the Omogusi. When he discusses issues, you can see like from a seat is just about to wake up from a seat to address issues. You know, when David, this is what my father, the late Samuel, the catechist, used to tell me. When David went to fight the Goliath, David, as a young man who was about 3 foot, saw a 7-foot giant there. He started selling fear. Kalonzo, we are not seeing you on a David platform. We want to see you start addressing that fear of that Goliath of the country. This country needs a person who can come out broadly and refuse and negate. Let your body say, I'm not in it. But when you rightly say, Kenyans do not want that discussion. Kenyans want you to come out clearly and say, I'm not in you, Ruto. Do not address Wadai. Do not address Kidiki, because these are agents who have been sent. Address the SEDA. When a dog barks in my village, we do not look at the dog. We look at the SEDA, the owner of that dog. Yes. What does the owner of that dog want to say? Kalonzo, this week, can you come out clearly and tell Kenyans that you are not an agent of the state? We want to see you. Do not go and discuss, do not go and litigate on issues that pertain to the members of parliament. Go and litigate on issues that are touching on Kenyans. We saw last week, Faith, the president of LSK. Faith did a very noble task. On Thursday and Friday, she went to court. When the law courts in Roiro brought terrorism charges against my own villagers from the mountain, they were given a cash bail of 100,000. We saw several women waiting there because they said, between me and poverty, I have 100 shillings. And yet, the court had given bonds of about 100,000. Kalonzo did not go to discuss that. He went to discuss about the Runyeges MP who was held. I don't know, it was the Runyeges MP. Faith Otiambo, their SK president, said, I'm addressing the court. Can you reduce the billboards? You see, look at the disconnect between the president of the Royal Society of Kenya and His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. Two distinctive discussions.
Somebody's going to ask you, are you overly judging him? Because if you look at the people who've come out clearly to say, well, we don't like what Raila Amolo Odinga is doing, it's him and Mother Karua. Out of the leaders who were in that umbrella before they broke up from ODM, is among the few who came out to say, look, I mean, Raila Amolo Odinga is my brother, but I do not like the direction that it's taking us, so I'm fully in the opposition. He's one of those who come out clearly to state that indeed I'm in the opposition. The rest of the guys, even Juma here, who's saying, well, I don't like what Raila Amolo Odinga is saying, they've not come out to categorically state what their next move is. But Kalonzo, he stated it. I want you to hold your thought there. Juma, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, respond to this, and we come back from the break. I'll start with you as well.
I've been here and I'm very consistent about the Luo Nyanza politics.
Yes.
I've said several times here that if Raila wants to stick with Ruto, let him stick. People have made a decision. I've even mentioned for you the governor of Siaya, I've mentioned you the governor of Kisumu.
Yes.
I've mentioned for you what happened in Homa Bay. I've mentioned you how Raila is losing the ground being in stick with Ruto. We cannot pull him as a person to leave Ruto if we want to stick with Ruto. As we are moving forward, we are saying
with who? That Juma, that's not what is. That's what.
No,
that's what you failed. That's
Elijah, what you should know.
That's what you failed. That's what you failed to present this morning.
With Juma, politics, politics one day is a long day, and we can be fasting.
Is it possible to say that the rest of the parts of the country, if you do ask any other person this morning, like they at least have a clue who they may want to move forward with?
Already, we are saying we are not following Ruto. That's first thing. We are not moving that direction. Number two, the next question, because even these people,
categorically, Juma,
for example, Elijah, even these people call themselves opposition. They have not got a presidential candidate.
Juma, you have options.
But the first thing,
So let me ask you this morning then. Kalonzo is actually come out and said, well, I do not like the fact that Raila Amolo Odinga is in this government. I do not like the fact that now is an agent for the government. I'm running for 2027. Okay. Will your community support Kalonzo Musyoka?
Kalonzo is lying. Why is Kalonzo lying? I'm to go back to that story. Kalonzo is in payroll of the government. He visits State House every night. Kalonzo is paid 2 million per month and is upkeep by the government. I want to be very consistent in this question, Elijah. Give me time. Give me time. Leave alone pension. Give alone even pension. There's money being given, apart from the pension that it takes 36 million or something, or 50 million.
Yes.
As a former DP, there's money that's being given as an upkeep by the state. Is in payroll like maybe Oburu Odinga and all the rest. Let me tell you, one, when Kindiki went to a minute, give me time.
Yes,
give me time. When Kindiki went to Kambani, and he has not gone once or twice or 3 times. He's an agent of the state, being sent of the state. Kindiki had been saying, I want to work with Kalonzo several times. That one. Number 2, Opiyo Wandayi went to go when he went to launching some electricity project in Ukambani. He said the same thing. The following day, when Wavinya Ndeti said, we'll really appreciate by being given to us 3 cabinet secretary, automatically we are in government. And that was statement from Wavinya Ndeti immediately, who is governor of Machakos, close allies of Kalonzo Musyoka. Now Raila confirmed this in his show when they were having an interview. Thirdly, Kalonzo is being looked here as William Ruto as alternative DP in case Raila move away, because Mudavadi and Wetangula, they are no longer there. The mountain is no longer with him. So he really feel that in case things are not working, the next move is Kalonzo to become his DP between now and 2027, or in 2027 election, in a promise that he will support Kalonzo 2032.
Yes.
Kalonzo, the matter of fact here, I can say, look at my eye, Kalonzo is in way to the government. It's just a story. The other people have been sent are agent of the state, and that's how state operates.
Juma, just hold on that thought, because I want us to go for a tiny breather as well. Just hold that thought again for Kalonzo Musyoka, because I'll be asking you the same question. Are we overly judging him? Because if you look at his statements again that he made this Friday, I'm going to read for you those statements again, you will start to see that this man who's a bit bitter with the state of affairs. It's as if we are friends today and I join the other side, he spoke angrily about the state of Raila Amolo Odinga in government as well. Juma, hold on. Juma, hold that thought. Once we come back right here at Look Up TV, my name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. You can see the conversation is deep right within it. Once we come back with Juma, just to answer that question, are we overly judging one, Kalonzo Musyoka? And if we are not, right now and say we are supporting one, Kalonzo Musyoka, in the 2027 running.
Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
If you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me, what has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasi wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Back on it this morning. If you're just joining us, this is Look Up TV. We are looking at the Kalonzo statement from Friday and this weekend. Now, Juma, I want to read it to you. Just let me remind you of what he said a couple of years back when was to support Raila Amolo Odinga, and he said, "I cannot support Raila Amolo Odinga." This is not verbatim, but he threw words of maybe if I'm a madman. Now listen to this, and then we compare. We see exactly where Kalonzo's heart is. He's saying. And this is verbatim, they are making announcements everywhere that Kalonzo wants to join the government. That could never be me. Goes on to say, working with Ruto? Question. Maybe another Kalonzo. Which one is heavier? Is it? And let me also clear that statement. He also used words of rogue. And let me just get that particular statement. Here it is. We all know the goons who are behind the violence and property destruction in the recent demonstrations, which was sponsored, now wait for it, by Ruto's regime. When you put those statements together,
what you should be able to know with politicians, statements and actions are two different things apart. They are in concomitant. They are you can separate them. With politicians, giving statement and action are totally different. in 2020, before 2022, Kalonzo said very well that if work with Raila Amolo Odinga again, he'll be a madman. He ended up working with Raila Odinga, not in the previous position of his running mate, but he ended up working on a position that was not even in portfolio in case Raila formed the government. He went even an interview, how he belittled himself as Kalonzo Musyoka that we know. He went ahead, we did the election, and Raila lost the election. Kalonzo says that now we're going to spearhead the opposition. The opposition, Rigathi Gachagua just came the other day and overshadowed Kalonzo. Matenge just came the other day and really overshadowed Kalonzo. And Kalonzo knows, it's not something that we're just talking on the media. Kalonzo knows that you've been overshadowed by these people coming to the opposition. He has lost the relevancy. Now, now the information, the news was being spread that Kalonzo is going to join the government. It was not just a story, because initially we already said that Kalonzo visits State House at night and have a discussion. When one of the MPs said, "Huyu anaongea nini hapa na anakuja State House kila siku." So Kalonzo goes to the State House. In fact, it's Junet who said, he better Raila goes to make a handshake during the day, but Kalonzo goes at night when Kalonzo started condemning Raila. Then Kindiki started going to Machakos and saying, "I need to work with Kalonzo Musyoka." After now Gachagua became a thorn in flesh on the government and all that. So Ruto started making a plan for him to bring Kalonzo in and now try to scatter the kind of opposition. Then he sent Kindiki. Recently he sent Opiyo Wandayi when he want to launch some project in Machakos, and Opiyo Wandayi says we are looking forward to work with Kalonzo as immediately as possible. The same day, that was on Thursday, Wavinya Ndeti, who is a very close ally of Kalonzo Musyoka, said very well, we thank being in the government is something good for us. If we are going to get 3 cabinet secretary in the government, then the better be it to be in the government. Immediately Raila confirmed that he's going to work with Kalonzo in the government. Then Kalonzo gave an statement. Kalonzo, the body language, what Kalonzo says and the body language, and judged by history, that they are not concomitant. They are not right at the same time. There's a problem. There's gaps in what Kalonzo says and the action. Currently, Kalonzo is being prepared to the Ruto DP, either between now and 2027 or after 2027, on a promise that Kalonzo will be supported in 2032. So that is the plan right away, because Ruto is not sure with the Raila's votes. He's not sure with the Western votes. Mountain has gone, and I think they have gone forever, as Gachagua said, and it's very sure because the intelligence give him report every day. The national intelligence give him that information every day, so he cannot close his eye and thinking. But he feel that if he can get Kalonzo maybe nearly to 2 million votes, or Kambani at 1.5 or something, it's a good start off, and it can start with that. So it's matter of day-night is working how to bring Kalonzo, and the strategy has been in place, and Kalonzo is in the way to the government.
Is that Kalonzo's overall character, Joyce? That what he says, vis-a-vis what's happening in the background, is completely different. Until what point can we judge a man? Because it looks like a man who's never gotten exactly what he's ever wanted. So let's be on the losing side. Can we say that this time around, based on what is spoken about Raila Amolo Odinga, they came out and castigated Raila Amolo Odinga for joining the government, him, together with Mother Karua. This time around is the only one, I mean, when you look around, other than the bona fide anti-government members of parliament, when you look at the top leadership of parties, is the only one who's calling out this particular regime, that is the Ruto regime, calling him a goon regime, sponsoring property destruction in the country, and he's saying that he will take him out of government legitimately through the ballot in 2027. If indeed we are saying that he's getting prepped to be a running mate for maybe Ruto in 2027, then why can't we look back and say, maybe at a time when the central bloc is seemingly away from the Ruto's regime, Kalonzo Musyoka stands better chances more than ever if he joins forces with a gentleman who are already saying we're also running in 2020. Can we look at it differently and say that for the very first time now, Kalonzo looks like he's got the support that he needs to go for that top seat?
I think Kalonzo has a multi-pronged issues that you need to deal with.
Yes.
That one, at the age of 73, you're not younger, you are not energetic as you are in when he was the deputy speaker in 1988, when we were still in the primary schools. I'm looking at him looking into the candidates who are coming up as presidential candidates. 2027 Araija. How many Gen Zs will be eligible to vote? There will be 17.8 million Kenyans. These are the Gen Zs. June 2025, last year, the Gen Z's most favorable candidate, presidential candidate, that was last year, not this year, yes, was none other than Omugusi himself, Fred Matiang'i. So I think I want to concur with what my brother is saying and what you just said. Either he's trying to look at the chances. What chances do I have? If 17.8 holding factors constant will come out one single day to go and vote. This is not Joyce and Elijah and Steve Juma here. These are the Gen Zs. 17.8 who are always on the streets, who are always on AI on phone, discussing how they are going to take over. Look at the Star today. They are saying 90% of the current sitting MPs will not go back to the parliament. Who joined the parliament? These are the young men and women, the Gen Zs. So they come here, last year and say, we are supporting one gentleman, Fred Matiang'i. Mm-hmm. And I think then it bolts down into the rights of Kalonzo and others, that in any way, we are not the popular presidential candidates 2027. So how do I do it? How many words have been used in the past by these politicians? We saw Baba calling one of our own, the son of Gena. What words? He used to use very, very bad words, the Mrevi. From the son of Gena, what bad words did he used to say? He used to say them Chawi and all those negative words. So in terms of words, politicians are very comfortable describing rogue, guns, muchawi, mrevi. They use all those words. Behind the scene, you still call him the brother. You've just read that sentence yourself. Yes. That on one hand he's the sponsoring the goons, on the other hand he's the brother. The disconnect. We need consistency. We need reliability.
Yes, I'm sorry to cut you short on that as well. But why are you veering off from the fact that Kalonzo Musyoka might be looking at the factions that are possible in the running to the 2027 elections? I mean, if you're saying that there's a popularity loss case factor for President William Ruto in the central region, then the central region is for the taking. Why can't we all say that Kalonzo Musyoka reads it and says, if indeed somebody's going to take the central region, then it's going to be me? So why can't we say that this time around, maybe Kalonzo Musyoka is looking at the possible factions that may come up? I mean, we know that Maraga is running, we know that Matiang'i is running, and the rest of them might come up. If indeed Kalonzo is saying, I'm not going to stand with them, I'm not going to stand with Raila Amolo Odinga, and both of you agree that Raila Amolo Odinga is losing popularity as well. So why can't we give it to him and say, if indeed it gets into a proper faction, then this time around, Kalonzo Musyoka has got proper chances?
Given the two scenarios between Kalonzo Musyoka and others,
yes,
against the mountain,
yes,
it is in the public domain that the mountain now, we are not interested in the presidency, so we are not for it. Anybody now who comes on board and says, yes, people from the mountain, I want to have discussion and issues with you, we are going to listen. But no, let us look into who are the voters 2027. These are the young men and women who told you, we are tribalists. Elijah, you are seated there looking in terms of the tribes. When they come out in the streets, they are not from the mountain. 17.8 million, they do not belong to one tribe. They are tribalists, they are leaderless. So that is a worrying statement, Elijah. When we have Gen Zs, I have two Gen Zs in my house, yes, and they cannot communicate in my language. So they do not even belong to the mountain. This is another tribe altogether. And they do not want to discuss about, allow me to say this, Elijah. They have issues with the farmers. I'm telling one of them in my house, she's called Doreen. Doreen, we have Kalonzo who was a farmer. She says, who is a farmer? They do not want to have discussions with the farmer. They want new blood. So between this new blood, Kalonzo Musyoka was the deputy speaker in 1988, was a former vice president between 2008 and 2013. What are the balances that we are going to incorporate when it comes to Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Matiang'i, who was a lecturer when he was teaching these Gen Zs? We are looking into factors right. And that's why I'm saying, Kalonzo, you need to pronounce yourself clearly. We have seen divisions in the opposition today. Look at the groupings that we have today. There's a lot of cold water. I don't mean to say this on a Monday morning. There's a lot of cold water between Matiang'i himself, Kalonzo himself, Gachagua himself, Mother, and Jeremiah Kioni. Last week, we saw a truck of the Jubilee had branded a truck and took it to Daragwa area. It had issues. When it comes to how we are going to bring out these candidates, we need one common and united opposition, and not one that has said, I'm superior. What is eating Kalonzo Musyoka here today in the morning is the superiority complex. He thinks, I'm the big brother in this room. And me being the big brother in this room, I deserve a lot of respect. At times, we need even to sit down and discuss. Juma, holding factors constant, I think, Juma, it is not the issue of age. It is the issue of you, Elijah, calling shots, because the majority of the voters here are not from Mount Kenya. The majority of the voters here, assuming in 2027 we'll have about 25 million, 17.8 million will be less than 30 years old, and they do not know who Kalonzo was prior to when they were being born. They want to serve somebody who can return or bring down and melt the hard solid war that is there between the members of the opposition. Allow me to say this as I conclude. We are staring into a big nightmare that is coming up when we have when we have a divided opposition. Look at J.B. Muturi. J.B. Muturi is now even more popular than Kalonzo himself. Why? He's breeding with the Gen Z. J.B. Muturi starts and says, my own son, it is not an issue of Article 43, the economy. My own son was grabbed by the state. And it took me the effort of me calling the head of state to go and release my son. The 10 points that his friend Baba wrote when he was joining hands with the President Ruto in the month of March, at the last, the 10th point said, when we joined the broad-based government, there will be no killings of the young men. There will be no illegal abductions. What is happening today? In essence, we need to come out and now start empathizing with the 17.8 million voters. How do we empathize with them? Let us listen to them. Yes. Let us have discussion with Kalonzo Musyoka. Kindly engage the 17.8 million voters. Leave Joyce alone. Discuss with what my two Gen Zs in my house want and not what Ruto wants.
That's it. Juma, that question as well, that are we too quick to judge one Kalonzo Musyoka when also in your conversation you are laying bare facts that might make it easy for Kalonzo Musyoka to clinch? That's it in 2027. Can't we look back and say that this is a man who's gone through it? If he's got proper lessons, he is the man who knows exactly what he needs to do now to clinch that top seat. Going by the fact that you've agreed, Raila Amolo Odinga, if he continues to push with Ruto in the government and he says he's going to stand with him all the way to 2027, then his popularity and his influence on the major voting blocks is losing it. So why can't you give it to Kalonzo and say, probably, because now it's a time when factions are coming up in the country in the run into 2027. The Kalonzo might be scheming and saying, I am better placed.
Fine. One time, my former professor, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Nyasani,
yes,
scholar, maybe soul rest in peace, said in metaphysics class and logic class in University of Nairobi, remind us that the first premise, second premise make a strong conclusion in your argument.
Does it?
Madam, we have just talked of Kalonzo history, the body language, and the spirit does not concur sometimes with Kalonzo. And I've given you a scenario whereby there have been consistency. Kindiki goes there and camp in Machakos and is welcome like a king several times. Welcome.
He's been in Kimbwezi, Makueni, Machakos, and all that. And every time he goes there, he uttered a statement, I want to work with Kalonzo, my brother. And that's how states work. When states want to kill you, Elijah, today, they'll publish in the Standard newspaper that you have disappeared, so that they hear the views of the people and all that. And then the bodies get somewhere and all that. So the state start the journey like that. The second one, they sent Piwandai, and he said, though, we want to work with Kalonzo. He went and launched the project and all that. You know, if you see these states launching a project in a certain area, knows that there's interest. There's something they're looking at. See Ruto going to Homa Bay, you want to bring Raila in to confuse the public and all that. So, and then Raila come and confirm it. Then Wamvinya Ndeti, which very close allies, a governor of Machakos, very close allies of Kalonzo, confirm and say that we are going to be given 3 cabinet secretary, and that means that we are totally in the government. There's also pressure from Kalonzo backyard that people have been asking him, why can't you behave there, Raila behave? He lose election today, tomorrow he jump the whip in the government. That pressure has been mounting. Number 4, Kalonzo has never convinced, as much as you say that he's the only person who can inherit the mount votes, is in better place to inherit the mountain votes, but I don't think he has that ability to convince. Up to now, I don't think he has convinced the mountain that is the best person to inherit their votes. He has not. Because even if you look at several times making inroad in Central, it rarely goes to Central unless Gachagua has called him to go to Meru or something. But himself, going to Central, speaking with the Central, looking at their view, their opinion, what they think, looking for votes. Kalonzo has never done that. He has never reached them and all that. You know, Central beginning from Nakuru.
What about the Gachagua factor, that now Gachagua might throw support behind Kalonzo? Gachagua is a man for the taking in 2027. Because
Gachagua is a man of resources. It's a man of so you can mobilize. Remember, he has mobilized for Ruto. He will not just do a mobilization of somebody who cannot be pushed. He must be able, you will be able to go out of your way first to show that when you go for look for votes, the voters will accept you. The voters will
really
made
it clear that his main aim is to take Ruto out.
Yeah, but
regardless, he doesn't care how it comes.
No, but I'm very sure the first point he has accepted that he is going to take Ruto out of power. That's okay. But he cannot just bring anybody in to take Ruto. He cannot give Maina Jenga to take Ruto. You know, also it's not impossible. If he realizes that, you know, because he's going to use his resources, that's why he's saying is the main purpose is that to take Ruto out. He's going to do mobilization. And even right now, I think he's doing mobilization, look for resources and all that. But he cannot just give these resources to someone who at the end of the day will backfire for now. Do you think Gachagua does not have intelligence to show him even where he is right now that Kalonzo is in way the government? And do you think that this coming in the media, they just hearsay, it's just a story the media is publishing? The same people who is going to bring Kalonzo is the same people who are leaking this information to the media. So indeed, even intelligent, indeed leaking this information to the public. And Mavinya Ndeti confirmed it last week. We are going to be given 3 cabinet secretaries. So it's just a matter of time for Kalonzo to be in the government. And again, as I've said you, been a pressure. People have been asking Kalonzo, you behave like Raila. You lose election today and tomorrow is in the government. What are you doing here? You remain in cold for the next 5 years. So Kalonzo is trying to behave as much as he is putting a strong face that, you know, I cannot join Ruto. These are rogue regime and all that. As he said, as she said, this is not what's happening at night. Kalonzo is in discussion with the government and is on the way to the government. And I can assure you, take this to the bank. It's just a matter of time.
Joyce, as we come to the end of this conversation, I'm going to give you 3 minutes then to give us your closing sentiments on what you think about this Kalonzo push. But this time around, I want you to think about it from this perspective. That he has seen the popularity for one Dr. President William Ruto sort of get a hit in the central part of the country. And he has seen Raila Amolo Odinga side heavily with one President William Ruto. That critics were punching holes into your argument that, well, Kalonzo Musyoka might want to end up in government or really wants to end up in government, are saying that right now is the best chance. Because throughout this conversation, by the way, Juma hasn't even come out himself here on this show to say, when 2027 comes, I've got friends of mine who are already telling me I'm going to vote for so and so, if indeed they're in the ballot in 2027. If Juma is a voice of a certain community, if Juma is a voice of a certain voting bloc, then this morning, if Kalonzo might be listening, Kalonzo might be saying they are for the taking. Because Juma is laid bare the facts that are making that voting bloc go up for the taking. What's that? So why can't we then say, maybe this time around, we wait, as opposed to throwing that judgment out and saying, well, nah, Kalonzo Musyoka wants to go back to government?
Political success is defined by 3 characters. 1, the financial mobilization. My brother Juma is like, he took a lot of tea in the morning. He's saying Kalonzo is broke.
Yes.
He does not have
I've been told it takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
The human resource mobilization, the technical part. We have seen a newly registered round party, the DCP, because this is about feasibility of that person. The feasibility should be individual, not be sponsored. Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Democratic Party, have been there since 2008 or 9 or so. DCP have been there for only 2 months. Wiper Democratic Party, how many offices do you have in 47 counties? You need to answer this to the Kenyans, because I want to echo what Juma is consistently saying, that the goodwill from His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka is not there and is wanting. DCP, you're only 3 months old. How many branches do you have? They'll tell you that in the 290 constituencies, DCP has offices. Wiper Democratic Party, how many offices do you have in the 290? It is all about the goodwill. It is all about the body language. It's all about the spirit. Kalonzo Musyoka is not interested in the long run battle. He wants now, since he's 73, now to deal with issues that will come with now, the short-term strategy. Yes. And the short-term strategy, Kalonzo Musyoka, drop it. Go for the long-term now strategies. You are the senior brother in this country. Take direction. If you need to read, start with feasibility, because on the ground, do not tell us that because Gema has changed the word A for association to Akaba, that automatically qualifies you for a choice of the mountain broth. No, you need to be physical on the ground. You need to be visible on the ground. You need to be felt. You need to be seen. Kithure Kindiki, he has more roads, he has more visits in the mountain than His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. Why? My brother has said it loudly. It's like, I'm not ready, I'm ready. If you seriously need the mountain to feed you, if you seriously need to bring, Lord forbid, if you seriously need to bring the mountain back to Ruto, you need now to go to the ground.
Yes.
Create awareness. Bring out now that, hey, I'm not the watermelon, I'm now the Kalonzo Musyoka. I want to own the A in the Gema. For now, he's not owning the A in Gema.
That's it. Juma, as you conclude as well, same question, that laying all the facts you've laid bare, and going by the fact that decisions have not been made in majority of voting blocks going into 2027, why can't be there's a time for Kalonzo Musyoka to launch that proper push into 2027?
He does not have a goodwill. I would not have said what Kalonzo said during the day or what Kalonzo said in public in terms of words are just mere words.
Yes.
Kalonzo feel like 2027 is a very far, and the pressure coming from his backyard, behave like Raila. You lose the election today, join Raila in the government. And Kalonzo will get this opportunity. He feel like this is an opportunity. Talking of 2027 for him, and he don't have resources, he has not made inroads. The Wiper Party has been there. They don't even have, Wiper only have MPs in Ukambani. So he has not even open office. He has not even used resources and all that, and he's not tending to use resources in near future. So this is the best opportunity for him to get into government, given a position of DP, than waiting for 2027, which is not sure. And he has seen it. And again, of the 2027, they may end up not giving him that chance or the ticket if he has not portrayed, they have not shown the goodwill. So Kalonzo, this is the better opportunity for him, and he has seen it. I've seen his close allies talking about it. The government have sent the agents to go and discuss with him, and he's in agreement. I want to make my conclusion, say,
yes.
These issues of voter registration, Raila talked about it, the Somali coming into the country without vetting, it's threat to our country, and I don't know how now the IBC must come in, because remember sometimes there's a polling station that was created that was not in the IBC portal.
Yes.
And again now bringing people to come and just vote like that. I think maybe when Sudi talk about rigging election, perhaps that is the one way of them approaching to see more Somalis and coming in to rig election. So then IBC need to explain to us why is this going to happen and how, because people cannot just come and give an ID because of going to vote. They want try to replace the vote from the mountain with the Somalis, which will backfire because those Somalis may take votes and they end up not, they may take IDs and they end up not voting. But lastly, you asked me a question.
Yes.
Which I think we added another time to discuss this. Who is the best presidential candidate?
Yes.
If you make a decision, you're asking me to make a decision.
Yes.
If I want to analyze all these people, I can tell you all are the same. If I call Kalonzo the same with Ruto, I call Gachagua the same, they have been the same government, the same people. For me, if you ask me, the person who I feel can respect the rule of law is Kanani Maraga, the former Chief Justice, the person who will bring us the rule of law. If you feel that can be able to stop extrajudicial killing, abduction, will be able to have sustainability. New name. If you call me Matiang'i is another dictator, is another arrogant guy, is having kiburi and all that. He was my lecturer in the University of Nairobi and I know him very well, and you know. And again, Matiang'i is being brought in by the Kenyatta's family, the powerful regime. That's so we continue with the recycle and all that. So in 2027, Kenyans will have an option to remain the status quo or bring the reform and changes for the country. So we'll make a decision, status quo.
That's it.
Ruto and Matiang'i maintaining the status quo. Ruto and Gachagua maintaining the status quo. Kalonzo maintaining the status quo. Or we bring change and forever moving forward to the country.
That's it. We gotta end it there. Oof. Still haven't got that answer from Juma. And that is largely what is going on in those particular voting blocks that have enjoyed Raila Amolo Odinga's support. Which way Kalonzo? Is it backing government despite what he's saying, or is he really looking at forging a way ahead for that 2027 general election? Talk to us at Lookup TV across all your social media platforms. We're right there. For those who've sent in their comments, we do appreciate this morning. I'm sorry, I don't have time to read just how many have come in, but I'll be creating time as we go on throughout the entire of this week, talking about the state of affairs in this country and the state of the economy in this country as well. Joyce, Juma, it's been lovely. It's been lovely. All right, goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow.